I'm not sitting here selling anything right now anymore. I'm trying to help people think about the questions that you should be asking beyond what's my rate of return going to be?
How do you connect the dots between, for them, on your relationship with money and how that impacts all of them? How do you connect the dots between, for them, on your relationship with money and how that impacts all of them?
Welcome to Money Mavericks, the podcast where we explore the dynamic world of finance, investment, and entrepreneurship.
I'm Kirk Drake.
And I'm Daryl Hicks. Together, we're here to bring you the latest insights, expert opinions from the trailblazers who are redefining success in the financial world.
In theory, deciding to work longer and planning to have income coming in longer than what you were previously thinking should directly translate into you having more time to spend with your kids and your spouse and your friends and everyone else right now. So I share a story in the book called A Tale of Two Tonys, and it's about a guy, Tony, who's 45 years old. He makes $150,000 a year, and he has $150,000 saved up for retirement. His financial advisor tells him if he wants to have a traditional retirement at 65, he needs to save about $2,400 a month between now and then, adjusted for inflation every single year. And that's a non-starter for most people. I mean, that's 20% total of what he's making. That's close to him saving as much as he is spending when you back out taxes. So most people in that situation, they freak out. They're like, oh my gosh, I'm behind. I have to spend even less time at the gym and less time sleeping and less time with my family. I have to catch up. Tony's wife in the book, I'm skipping over a lot of the fun, dramatic flair, but she's like, look, you're not going to ever stop working. You like what you do. You like the people that you do it with. Even if you're not doing this, you'll probably be doing something else. So he calls up his financial advisor and he says, okay, can you change the age to 75 instead of 65? And what that does to the numbers is that in the first example, we had to save $2,400 a month to stop working at 65. That number goes down to $110 per month if he were to stop working at 75, which is a 96% reduction in the amount that he has to save. So you can just feel the collective sigh of relief that people have when I present this to them. And the reason for it is, in the first example, we have 10 less years of saving, 10 less years of that money compounding, and then we need the money to last for 30 years, because in both scenarios, I have him dying at 95. In the second example, he has 10 more years of working, 10 less years of needing to pull the money out, 10 additional years of compounding interest, and then the money only has to last for 20 years. And we've all seen these articles about how we should have saved more when we were 22 to take advantage of compounding interest. And whether we did or we didn't, we sort of feel dumb for not doing it more. But look, we're making, hopefully we're making a lot more money now than we were at that time. You don't see any articles talking about how you get the same benefit by just letting it sit for an extra 10 or 15 years longer on the back end, right? And so I'm creating real dollars in real time for people seemingly out of thin air. Everyone understands that they should spend more time taking better care of themselves and spend more time dating their spouse and spend more time with their kids and spend more time sleeping. But at the end of the day, there's this pink elephant in the room, which is, well, how am I going to afford to do this? And what I'm here to tell people is that you can afford it because you're going to have this income coming in later on now that you weren't previously counting on. And that's sponsoring you to make these different choices right now. It's almost like someone's writing a check. Your future self is writing a check for your current self to allow you to now be home in time for more dinners, go to the gym more, play more golf, hang out with your friends, do all of that.
Those are some powerful numbers, from $2,400 all the way down to, what'd you say, 110?
Yeah, and if he works until he's 70 instead of 75, an extra 5 years, the number goes from $2,400 down to $600. It's a 75% reduction in what Tony has to save by just agreeing and acknowledging, yeah, I'm probably going to work a little bit longer. And how much time have people really thought about why they picked the age of 65 for the age that they want to retire? And I'm sure if somebody hates what they're doing, the idea of doing it for a second longer sounds terrible. And I'm also here to tell people that I don't think sitting around and sipping lemonade on your front porch for 30 years is going to provide lasting happiness for you either.
I think you already answered it, though. The biggest hack to generating outsized returns for the average person, literally just the time that they spend in the market, as opposed to, getting really, really good, say at stock picking or something like that. What's the advice that you were typically giving to your high net worth clients when they were working with you as far as how they were going to, achieve everything that they wanted to in working with you?
Yeah, I think that when you're working with high net worth people, like the stakes are like they're not as high. When if like I have so many clients now that have like 20, $30 million, and I did a good job managing their money for them. But like if I'm being honest, if they would have like if something would have happened to me 15 years ago and they would have another financial advisor, I don't think that they would like not have any money. I think that they would still be pretty close to where they are. I think it's like the conversations are too geared towards the rate of return, and we're missing having important conversations about other things. It was me asking questions like that to make sure that they were in alignment, that they were living their lives in a way. I had three questions I read in a financial planning book probably 25 years ago, and I was inspired to like have these three questions I would ask all my clients on a pretty regular basis, and I called it the alignment audit. And the questions are, if you won $50 million tomorrow, how would your life change? This would like give us insights into how much do you like your work? Is there anything that you're putting off right now that maybe you should be thinking about doing? Question number 2 is you go to see a doctor. The doctor tells you that you have a year to live. How are you spending those next 12 months? And the third question is the doctor said, you're actually going to die tomorrow. What was your biggest regret? And I walk my clients through these questions to really help them realize that maybe like they're too focused on the ROI, they're too focused on their money, and they're not focused enough on the compounding benefits of investing in their relationships or their health or some of these other things. I'll give you another one that's a little bit more tactical. And I think that maybe like one of the best things that I've done for the majority of my clients is have the long-term care insurance conversation with my clients as it pertains to their parents. So I was working with a lot of 40 and 50-year-olds who were partners at big law firms and execs and business owners. And I would say to them, like, do you know much about your parents' financial situation? Like, and if something happened to them, can they afford to pay for the nursing care? Can they afford to fund this other thing? I don't know. I've never talked to my parents before. And so whether I could give my client 9% on their investments, and then their dad gets Alzheimer's disease, lives for 9 years with this debilitating condition, didn't have any money. My client had to withdraw their money from all their investment accounts to make sure their dad didn't end up on the street at some point. And so I think it's less about, like, I think whether you get 7 or 8%, I think most people are going to be okay. I think that continuing to work longer and planning to work for a longer period of time also plays a big role. So for example, I've got some clients that are still working and earning an income, even if it's not a lot. And I've got some clients that aren't working and earning an income at all. And both sets of these clients have significant assets. They have $20, $30 million. They're never going to run out of money. And it is amazing to see the difference and how much easier it is for the person that's just earning $100,000 a year, how much easier and more of a carefree way they spend their money compared to the one that is completely done, that's only taking withdrawals, that's not adding to it anymore. I had to keep telling them, like, you're like, spend your money, like, it's fine, trust me, don't worry about it. And they still are a little bit antsy compared to the ones that still have that earning potential. It's like they're subconsciously, they know they can always earn more if something terrible were to happen and they were to lose a chunk of their money. I'm not sitting here selling anything right now anymore. I just think that I'm trying to like help people think about the questions that they should be asking beyond just the sexier ones, like, what's my rate of return going to be?
On Money Mavericks, we don't just talk about making money. We explore the innovative strategies and bold decisions that drive real change. Whether you're an experienced investor, a budding entrepreneur, or just someone looking to make smarter financial choices, we've got something for you.
Every week, we're going to sit down with industry leaders, visionaries, and mavericks who share their journeys, challenges, and breakthroughs, from contrarian views on market trends to the secrets behind building a successful startup. You get an inside look at what it takes to thrive in today's economy.
And we promise to keep it real, engaging, and most importantly, actionable. No jargon, no fluff. Just straightforward conversations that you can apply to your own financial journey.
So get ready to challenge your thinking, expand your knowledge, and take control of your financial future. This is Money Mavericks,
where we turn financial dreams into realities and mavericks into legends.
always put my own mask on first. So in that situation, I would be like, work out in the morning, and then coach them in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And then if they cancel, because they probably will, because that's what happens with my kids too. They're like, oh yeah, we're going biking. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm not going to work out because we're going biking. And then we don't go biking.
and then you're like, oh.
How about I fix this problem? I'm going to work out anyway. And if you want to go biking, I should have the energy. We're going to go biking.
Yeah.
But I think that's the whole thing is, in life, how do you find ways to figure it out? It's not easy.
I think I love this analogy, and it's the one that I use too, of like, put your own mask on first, right? So for me,
it sounds selfish, but it's so important.
So going into kind of more of the money things, if you were to think of maybe your life in like 3 stages at this point of like no money, bare bones, some money, and lots of money, right? How has your view and way you approach money changed?
It's so fun. Yeah. It's so different. Because I have conversations about this all the time. I coach some of the, I just, before this call, coach a guy that does $600 million a year, self-funded, very wealthy. And, the thing I try to teach him that I had to discover the hard way is none of the external possessions are going to make you feel anything. So the beauty of it, so when I think about like money today, it's an amplifier of who you are. And we hear this all the time, but most people don't realize that everything they seek, as soon as you want something, you're saying that's outside of you. And anybody that studies spirituality realizes like you are already everything you desire. You just have to figure out how to activate that. And it doesn't require anything external. So when it comes to wealth for me, what's shifted is less strategic and more aligned. And because it's less strategic and more aligned, it multiplies. So that's the part that, and I read this a long time ago, that most wealth is created between 40s and 60s for most people, regardless if you're an entrepreneur or not. So I got really excited because I learned that if I could align with my true desires, and that's tough. Like I teach people how to get into their true place of decision-making from an embodied desire and knowledge. It might sound subtle, and I'll show you guys later in the studio, but I walked in one day and they moved the desks around and the couches and stuff, and it just felt off. And I told my GM, Todd, I said, hey dude, I really liked it before the other way. And I know you probably did it for a reason, but it just feels so like even my angel investing or desires, like I've gotten better at discernment.
Well, being in touch with that moment of like, I can't explain why, I just don't like it.
Yes, and check this out, because a friend of mine said it best to me one time. I was talking to her about it, and she's like the most enlightened spiritual person I know. She goes, when you snowboard, you've been doing it for a long time. I said, yeah. She goes, do you like sit there and think about heel toe edge as you're snowboarding? I was like, no. She goes, how do you snowboard? I go, I just let it go. I mean, Kirk, you've come on my trip. I know it didn't end well for you, but as if I wasn't going to bring it up. But on that trip, like it is flowy and fun. And she goes, how about you just try operating from that place? She goes, I think you've been businessing long enough. And I was like, oh, snap, you're right. Like I'm still trying to go heel toe edge. And I didn't give myself permission to sit in my knowingness, my beingness, and then operate from that point. So anybody that's seen my life evolve over the last few years, that's all I shifted, which is I've gotten really honest with myself about what's aligned with me, not less necessarily what's strategic about me. And guess what? It turns out from a wealth creation point of view.
That's huge.
Yeah, because then you're truly aligned in the activities of the things you say yes to.
Right.
And the no's are easier. You don't even entertain them. It's a multiplier effect, not a linear. And most people, I think, create wealth linearly. And when you can start giving yourself permission to really tune into that, especially if you've had a career at it. See, I had been doing it for 25 years. Right. So I just forgot to just get into flow and to trust in the process.
I think it's such an important lesson. What's hiding like in plain sight in what you just said is the value of really knowing yourself, trusting yourself and letting it be. I was hanging out with I won't mention the name because I don't have permission to, but an A-list celebrity who does shows in New York on a regular basis. And he was speaking to a group of entrepreneurs, and he told this story about how he would go to the head of house at the show in New York and say, make sure that the first 6 rows are filled, because that's all I can see when the lights are on. And I don't want any empty seats in the first 6 rows because it messes with my head. And I want to feel like every time I'm presenting to a full house. And one of his friends criticized him and says, well, that's pretty narcissistic. Like, you're only going to do a good show if it's to a full house. It sounds like maybe you got some work that you need to do. And he's like, you know what? You're probably right. And I probably will do the work so that it doesn't bother me as much. But for now, it's okay. I know myself and I know that this is what I need. And I'm going to give my best possible show if all the seats that I can see are full. So it's okay. I'm going to allow myself to do this.
Put your mask on first.
Yeah, exactly. Put your mask on first.
Know what you need. Allow yourself to request that preference.
Knowing that and having kids and having parents and siblings, all who have different financial situations and values and whatnot, how do you connect the dots between for them on your relationship with money and how that impacts all of them?
What I do now is I show them how the world is. So we're very involved in charitable projects locally in the community. So they've seen that. We've been to many parts of the world where they've seen that, just even the fact that we live in Canada or you were born as a Canadian is very different than other people. So let's be grateful for that. So huge amount of gratitude. I don't buy them everything they want. I buy them what they need. Anything they want, I go 50%. That's my rule. So if you want anything, 50-50, that's where I've gotten to on that one. And then the bigger part is even just wealth transfer. Like I don't plan on leaving my kids anything. They know that. So if you ever meet them and say to them, oh, wow, you're rich. They'll say, I'm not rich. My dad's rich. They say this all the time. I can't help it. But what I teach them though, is that the world rewards those that create value.
Yeah.
That is it. Literally, we talk about how do you create value? How do you become more valuable to the market? So both of them have their own little skills they're working on. One of them's already monetizing it. And I just teach them actually the process of how to invest in themselves. Because that's the only thing that I know works. It's like invest in yourself more than you invest in your job.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Money Mavericks. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. And be sure to share this episode with someone who needs to hear it.
Stay connected with us on social media and visit our website for exclusive resources, episode transcripts, and more.
Until next time, keep pushing the boundaries, making smart moves, and turning your financial dreams into realities.
You've been listening to Money Mavericks, where Mavericks become legends.